Now, from the University of Okoboji, it's Okoboji Broadcast with Jeff Thee.
Welcome to Okoboji Broadcast, everybody. I'm Jeff Thee, coming to you from our studios right here, historic Arnold's Park Amusement Park. I have Megan Vigdal here with us. Megan is the Environmental Lab Analyst for Lakeside Labs right there on beautiful Westlake, Okoboji. Megan, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
I'm glad to be here.
We are talking about, it is called CLAMP. And, you know, it is, and I'm just going to, Cooperative Lakes Area Monitoring Project.
Yes.
What does that mean? That's a lot of words, Megan.
It's a lot of words. It's a lot of letters. And when you just say CLAMP, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. But yeah, so CLAMP, that project, it's actually a volunteer citizen science project. It was established in 1999. Mm-hmm. So we are in our 25th sampling season.
Isn't that awesome?
So exciting to be in our 25th season. It was established by the previous education coordinator and other lab analysts at Lakeside, and now I'm trying to revamp CLAMP, getting out there.
You can have a t-shirt that says revamp CLAMP.
Right, we have our CLAMP t-shirts, which we just got these last year.
Those are nice.
So, and if you do volunteer, you do get a t-shirt. So you get something like that. But yeah, so volunteer science project. So what basically happens is 7 times a summer, we have volunteers go out, and we have 27 sites within the main chain of the Okobojis, the lower chain, Center Lake, can't forget them there in the middle, and Little Spirit way up on top.
Oh yeah.
And then also we include Silver Lake over in Lake Park, since they are in our watershed, and what happens there is very important to what happens here as well.
Yes. Now tell me why CLAMP is so important, what these volunteers do when they're out there, Megan.
Yeah, when they're out there, they go and collect water samples for us. So they have a few tools, which I brought with me today, so we can kind of look at them, and that's what the volunteers come and kind of get trained with me on how to do it, but very simple. So when they're out on the boat, basically they're going to be having some bottles to fill up, which I brought with me today, just so you can see it's not very much.
Right.
So these are the 3 things that are going to get filled up with the lake water from the different sites that we have on the lakes. And to do that, they get to use our very scientific sampling jug.
That's just repurposing is what that is, Megan.
Is. Yeah. Yep. So they use this to grab the water down in the lake from their boats. They fill up their bottles, and they bring those right back to Lakeside Lab, where they get analyzed for a few different things. So things like nitrates and phosphorus levels. And we do chlorophyll as well, which is the green stuff you see in the lake.
Yes.
And in really bad times, it's the blue-green stuff you see in the lakes. Yeah. Like last year, we had some up in Big Spirit Lake. So we do that as well.
So are the 3 different bottles you have there, do they sampling for different things? Same water, but looking for different things.
Same water, different things. So this one actually has a little bit of acid in it. That's why it gets a fancy label. Okay. And that one's going to be our nitrates and our phosphorus. That's what we're going to test from that one.
Okay.
And then this bigger one is the water we're going to use to actually filter a little round filter for the chlorophyll. And then that's going to end up in one of these guys, but also we put water in one of these vials to help with microcystin, which is kind of another type of chlorophyll as well.
All right.
So that's what gets tested out of those. And they also get to use a few tools too while they're out there. So this is a Secchi disc.
Yes.
So this is helping with water clarity, how far we can see down in the water. And that's why we got the 2 different colors on the wheel. There's a weight on the back.
Right.
So they're going to end up dropping this into the water. There's measurements on here in meters.
Right on the rope there.
Yeah, on the rope.
Okay.
So you drop it down until you cannot see it anymore. And I have clothespins usually to help you a little bit. You clothespin it, and then you bring it up until you can see it again. And then you clothespin it, and then that gives you a reading that will help you with
what
that.
The clarity is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my Westlake Okoboji volunteers, I have a special extra long string. Because they get really good clarity readings most of the time.
It's our deepest lake, and the clarity on West historically is always kind of much better than East and so forth.
Especially with that first reading. So we start in June.
Yeah.
So they go out 2 times in June, 2 times in July, 2 times in August, 1 time in September.
Okay.
So that first time, the water clarity readings on all the lakes is usually pretty good because it's the first time of the spring.
Yeah.
And
stuff hasn't had a chance to grow a lot.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Though this winter the ice wasn't there very long, so
No.
we'll see. We might get some interesting readings.
Yes.
The last thing they get to use out there is they have 2 meters. I brought one of them with me today because they look very similar. This one's for dissolved oxygen and temperature. So that oxygen that's within the water molecules that the plants and the animals use to survive. So it just basically gives you some numbers on here. There's a probe on the other end that comes out of that sheath.
Okay.
That goes in the water. They wait a little bit. They write down the readings, and it's simple as that. And the other meter does the temperature as well as pH and kind of conductivity, which is helping us with chloride, which we are also the last 2 years we've been out of one of those bottles too. We've been sampling for chloride, which are the salts that are in the water.
Right.
Trying to keep track of that. As Minnesota's been on top of the chloride for a while, so kind of making sure the freshwater environments that we all have aren't getting too brackish or have too high of salinity.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that would harm all of our plants and animals, as well as kind of recreation too.
Well, sure, absolutely. Well, since we had the infestation of zebra mussels a few years ago, have we seen dramatic, especially in clarity and so forth?
Yeah, so the zebra mussels are interesting because we can actually see them since we have these 24 years of data already. At the end of the year, we kind of make a map of each of the lakes, which I can grab one of these quick.
Sure.
And with in Westlake, we had them first, right? So we see that. I think I only have Silver Lake, so that's not really going to help me. Anyway, at the end of the whole year, because we do a clamp picnic at the end of the year appreciation, they come out and we show them all the data that we have. This will be kind of what we have for all the lakes, and it's going to be help showing us the clarity, the blue squares, and then the phosphorus levels are the triangles, and then the chlorophyll is the green ones.
Yeah.
With the lakes that do have the zebra mussels, we have been able to see when they were established. So the water clarity, as they are filter feeders, that kind of goes up a little bit. And then zebra mussels are boom bust species. So there are some years where there are lots of zebra mussels, and there are some years where there's not as many. Even though we still see their evidence, there's years that there's more than others. And so we can actually now start seeing that with Westlake because we've had them for a while now. We can kind of see like a little curve happening with the years. And Big Spirit Lake, we are now able to see on this chart when they kind of went into there too, because it was a few years later. So they're kind of boom and bust, so that we haven't seen them really harm too many other things. But it is kind of interesting with gaining this data, how we'll be able to see in the future too.
Yeah.
That's why we want to keep this program going as well.
Even visually, on East Lake, I can think years where, you get that, I always call it the pea green soup.
Yep.
And kind of which way the winds was flowing, you had it on your beach or, by your docks, and then blow the other way. But it seems since the zebra mussels have been infestated, not as much of that.
Right. Yep. They're kind of keeping up with that. East Lake every lake has something different. East Lake also got their curly leaf pondweed things going on as well, but...
Well, we've, with milfoil.
And the milfoil.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of been getting their own... It's funny because I go out to lake associations and talked about this too, and so when I go to them, I talk to them specifically about all their different things. Every lake is different, but we need help on all of them.
Yes.
And we have the most comprehensive data set for any lake in Iowa, any system. So the DNR does go out and test lakes in Iowa, but they go 3 times a summer in 1 site per lake. Yeah. So we go 7 times, 27 sites.
It makes these volunteers so important.
Yes, very
indeed.
important. We can't go out there and do it all by ourselves, so we really rely on those volunteers. And they all have fun. They get to go out on the beautiful lakes and they get to spend some time out there. We have had a lot in the past few years. We've had a lot of families gaining volunteer, and a lot of grandparents that have grandkids up here for a week in the summer.
What a great family project.
It is. And all the younger kids that have been doing it the last few years, they love it. They're smiling. Their grandparents send me pictures, and they got their little jugs, and they're doing science, and they really are. They're really helping.
They are truly, and they are really helping out. It's a great learning opportunity for young people.
And then they know for the future that they're helping keep the lake tabs on the lakes, and hopefully they help and they teach their kids. Yeah. We have Okoboji forever.
Well, let's talk. That's what we want. That's what we are handing down to our children and grandchildren. Yeah. So, when is the training?
Yes, so the volunteer trainings are, even if you're just interested and want to check it out, they run about an hour or less. And I will talk about clamp, its history, kind of go over those things. We just went with the different instruments. You'll get some hands-on with those things too to get more comfortable, meet the other volunteers.
Yeah.
And so those will be held out at Lakeside Lab. And this year, since clamp does start in June 1, sampling can begin. So Wednesday, the 29th at 10 a.m. will be an opportunity. And then the next day, Thursday, May 30th, there's one at 10 o'clock in the morning and then also one at 6 p.m. for those people that are working during the day. So attend one of those, get a hold of me if you want to register for one of those or if you have more questions about what clamp is, if you're just interested. But if you come to a training, you're not you do not have to sign up to volunteer. Some of our volunteers go once a summer. Some of them go 5 times. It's really up to your time commitment level. You don't have to be locked in for anything.
Right. And it's not a huge time commitment to begin with, No.
It depends on your lake, on how many sites you have and how far you have to go. So some of that depends, but it's not huge. Even Westlake with all those sites, if you go in the morning during the weekday, maybe an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah, go when it's not busy.
That's when a lot of our volunteers, they really enjoy going early-ish in the morning on a weekday, and it's beautiful out there, and they're one of the only people out there, and just get some nice water and bring it back to me.
Exactly. So how do we get a hold of you? If we have questions, we'd like to learn more about it. How do we get a hold of you, Megan?
Yep, just emailing me is probably the best route of communication. So it's Megan, Megan -Vigdal, Vigdal @uiowa.edu.
Very good. One other thing I'd just like to talk about is just how important this research and education of people. I can remember, this is back in the earlier to mid 90s, but the huge push on education on people with lawns, lakeside, and the type of fertilizer they used with a lot of phosphorus and so forth. And the education that people were getting due to research was fact, okay, I'm putting something that is making algae and so forth grow more in our lake. So it's just, that's why this is so important.
Yes, just being able to have all of this in our background, so when issues like that do arise, we can say, this is what's happening, and we see these readings, and we have all those multiple readings to tell people that this, if you're actually putting that, you're feeding some of the stuff we don't like having around. And so,
well, it's just like having being diagnosed with a disease. It's better to be ahead of it as opposed to and fight the symptoms you're having, as opposed to fighting the disease itself.
Correct. Yeah. And this is, all of our data is so great. I know lots of people utilize it as well. The DNR uses it. Our local water source people use it as well to kind of see what the pH levels and things are, which goes to our drinking water. So it affects all of us.
Yeah. Very good. All right, Megan, thank you for coming in. Thank you for talking about clamp, and always thank you to our volunteers that make this happen and keep our lakes healthy.
Yes. Huge shout out to volunteers, even future volunteers. We love having you guys. We appreciate you, and thank you for having me on to talk about clamp today.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you again. Megan Vigdal here with us from Lakeside Labs. We want to thank her for her time, and again, thank you to all you volunteers that make this happen. So don't forget about the training on the 29th of this month, and we thank you for watching us right here on Okoboji Broadcast. Okoboji Broadcast from the studios at historic Arnold's Park Amusement Park is brought to you in part by West Wealth Management, a financial advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services. Advisor Jan Spielman, AJ Spielman, and Erica Wacholz. The headquarters of the University of Okoboji is at the Three Sons, open Monday through Saturday 10 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 4. Bank Midwest, dream big, plan wisely, live well. Lakes Regional Healthcare and Avera Partner. Beck Engineering in Spirit Lake. Be Radiant Laser Skin Studio in the Okoboji Plaza in Okoboji.